Darman, this is Ray. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I sure can. Sorry, I was multitasking looking at something else. Good
That's all right.
morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. And I need to move this a little bit so I can see. We already have member Humphrey, member Hoover, and member Clark on.
Okay.
We also have President Carter from Colby. And we have Barton Community College on. And we're waiting on the rest of the members.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Looks like David joined us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Darman, do you know if anyone, TA members notified us that could not or would not be in attendance?
I'm going to defer to Robin because I do think we heard from a couple that they would not be able to join.
Okay.
The only one that confirmed that they would not be able to join was Secretary Schultz, but she said that Angela White would be in her place. No one else notified that they could not.
Okay.
Member Bean is not with us today. He is at the
Right.
apprenticeship week celebration in Salina.
Sorry, forgot about that. But he did say he could pop in if we needed him for a quorum. So tentative.
That comment reminded me when I sold my company. I guess there were, customers still calling and asked for me. And I found out later the staff was saying he's no longer with us. And this customer goes, "Oh, I didn't know he passed away."
Okay, let me clarify. Mike Bean
That can be
Did not-
taken a couple ways.
did not depart
know.
us on this earth. He's just not with us for this meeting.
Well, I never let him live that one down, so.
Good morning.
Good morning, Curtis.
I also see that member Zimmer and member McCulca have joined.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
All right, great. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And we have Angela from Department of Labor.
Who else did you say? I'm sorry.
Angela White. Angela, you might want to pop on and correct me on your name because I see a different name there.
Might
For
be
the
old. It is
Depart-
Angela White,
Okay,
not my married name.
gotcha.
I still say Berlin, but
And I also see Dr. Anderson has joined us.
Okay.
We also have Todd Zimmer. So Chair Frederick, we do have a quorum and it is 10 a.m.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time to be with us today, even though it's a Zoom meeting. So I would like to call the November 21st, 2024 Kansas Post-Secondary Technical Education Authority meeting to order. Before we start on our agenda, we've got some housekeeping reminders that I need to read. This TEA meeting is a regularly scheduled conference call meeting being held Zoom. Please mute your microphones. TEA members, board staff, or institutional staff who have comments or questions should ask to be recognized. Everyone other than the recognized speaker should keep their microphones muted. Each time you are recognized to speak, please state your name and your title before you begin so that we can be readily identified. You can be readily identified by listeners as well as observers. For each action item, I will state a motion and ask if someone will make that motion. For each motion made, I will then ask for a second. For each motion made and seconded, I will ask Robin to call a roll to determine how each TEA member is voting and to announce the results of the vote. We will not do a roll call for approval of the minutes, and we do not need a motion, second, or vote for recess or adjournment unless a TEA member requests one. We will not have opportunity for public comment during this meeting. We will not have an executive session during today's meeting. So moving on to, I would ask, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? If not, we have minutes from October 31st. The minutes our previous TA meeting. You should have been included in your packet. And are there any changes to the minutes?
Curtis would move to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Curtis. Do we have a second?
It's
Second,
Keith, I second.
Gatling.
Okay. Are there any opposed? If not, motion carried. Okay, are there any introductions to this morning? I'm not hearing any. We're going to move on past the chairman's report. He's been a slacker recently. So we're going to move on to Vice President April White. Provide us with a report from Workforce Development. So April, you're up.
Thank you, Ray. Unfortunately, we don't get the luxury of not being productive. A couple of things that are going on. The federal reporting for both adult ed and our Carl Perkins are coming due. So the feds schedule that right around the holiday. So that is fun. We do want to thank our DRP staff. So that's our data team. We know that we have a lot of data requests right now so that we can finalize those reports. So we appreciate their help in doing that. Another thing that we have been working on this month, as you know, last month we approved, I think Charmin said roughly 30% of the courses. So we're reviewing all courses and all buckets. Those that you approved last month were approved yesterday by the Board of Regents. Charmin and Rita are going through every course and every bucket right now. So maybe December, January, we will have the rest of those for your review. Another
That's
thing that
next year, right?
correct. Correct.
Not next month.
Another thing that we are doing is we are working, trying to work closer with our academic affairs unit here at the Board of Regents office. There are some things happening that are not under the technical education's purview, but it does affect our two-year colleges and their funding. So we are trying to work closer with them to better understand what's happening, how's that going to impact our colleges. A few of those things just for the TEA to know. We will also probably have Rusty Monholland or Carla Wiscombe come in and present to you guys. There are changes to developmental education. So the Board of Regents in 2023 approved a change to how developmental education is funded. It won't be funded as it traditionally has been for 20 plus years. There are changes there. There is another movement from the Board of Regents to have what they're calling the first 15. So that is the first 15 credit hours of general education. So think English comp, college algebra, or any other kind of math course, psychology, those types of things. First 15 credit hours free or no cost to high school students. So that is a big shift on how are we going to fund that? What is the implication for institutions? So that is something else we're trying to understand and get a better grip on. We also are working with academic affairs and our data team on the degree articulations. If you don't know, 4 new degree articulations were approved, I want to say last year, and I'm probably going to get them all wrong. But I think associate degree, general associate degree to nursing. I think there's a computer science one. There's also a social work, and I can't remember the 4th one, but it's a program to program articulation. So if a student starts at any of our 2-year schools, they will take a certain block of courses that will transfer into that degree plan at a university. So we are trying to better understand that and help design that within our data system. Another thing that we are working on that's not really related to the Technical Education Authority, but it is a Board of Regents goal. We are working with this 6 state universities on Pillar 3, which is economic prosperity. That is of the board strategic plan. So I am working with the universities on what they're currently doing to meet that goal. Another thing that we have been working on this past month is working with the Kansas Hospital Association, again, on that virtual healthcare day that's coming up, but we are also incorporating our micro internships into healthcare careers. So that's another exciting thing that we are working on. And just so everyone knows, the December 5th Budget and Finance Committee will be canceled. So we do not have any business to conduct for that meeting. So we will be canceling that meeting. An official email will come out notifying everyone. With that, I think that roughs up what we've been doing the past 20 days. I would stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions, comments for April? Very busy time. Hearing none, we're going to move on and ask if any of the TA members have a report of their activities. Well,
That was wait time now. Now you
there you
know.
go. There you go. I knew you'd be there.
I'm telling you, well, Dean Smathers has been absolutely wonderful at Washburn Tech. I think I mentioned to you that there was a 8th grade a course that I'm teaching on career exploration to really look at the CTE connection and curriculum and learn what happens. So this 8th grade course impacts every middle school student. I'm sorry, not every middle school student, every middle school in Topeka Public Schools, because those students are bused at TCALC where I teach the course. So it allows me to get an insight into all of our middle and high schools and then help them make their IPS or individual plan of study. Having said that, after visiting some colleges and career sites, and each student has done their internship, we will conclude December 2nd visiting Washburn Tech and Dean Smathers and looking at careers. And then the students, 1 or 2 of them, will be presenting to you a little bit about curriculum and some thoughts. And so be prepared for some of you. I think Member Makolka, our students, I told them I might get them some FaceTime on Zoom with a few people as they have questions and perhaps some recommendations. I do want to mention one item that has come up. I think I mentioned it before. The teacher pathway, I think there's some opportunity there and how it's recognized and funded. And I know that may not be our area, but things that you should just know about in terms of CTE. Lastly, as an update related to career technical education and support for institutions in general, as it relates to teachers. Last Friday, I was in DC testifying on the teacher shortage and the need for greater support to the universities to bring in more teachers and the need for flexibility in that regard. But those are some updated items. And again, we thank Dean Smathers for rolling out the red carpet for some rising 9th graders so that they really have an individual plan of study that's going to bring them right back to careers in Topeka.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Well, Ms. Tiffany, congratulations on DC. Tell us about just the mood of that. That's a pretty important issue, teacher shortage. What's the mood there?
Well, it really depended on what time you arrived to the event. So I had the joy of coming there a couple hours early, and there was a panel that, shared that there really isn't a shortage in the teacher industry, and, you know, um, K-12 and post-secondary, we have the supports we need and all of those things. And that's really a media hype. Two or three people shared that out of the handful of people there. And then the next panel, which was the panel that I was on. So it was helpful to hear that, because sometimes if you're not in schools, if you're not at the university level, while I'm not there, I'm certainly close enough through this, you may not really know fact and data. And so I did reach out to some of the universities. I get Washburn, since we're right here in Topeka, quoted some statistics nationally and locally. They were focusing on special education in particular, but really it impacts all careers. How we support our universities or CTE sites or two-year colleges will impact. The equity gap is what I shared, and the prosperity and economic gap. So that second group, the commissioners on the Office of Civil Rights, which is who I was speaking to, the commissioners and the board and the folks there were very receptive and positive. And that link I'll send to Vice President White, so that if she'd like to share that, one, for the testimony, because the whole 5 hours of who said what about organizations is there. But there are also some really good articles about statistics. I think people all want to do great things for colleges, but sometimes they don't know what they don't know. So it was a privilege. I think I was the only superintendent invited to come, so it was a privilege to speak voice. And some of the colleges sent me emails, so I had the laptop up and I was trying to say what people were telling me they wanted me to say. So trying to bring a voice to the table was a privilege and an honor. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Anyone else?
Ray, this is Deb. And
Yes,
I would
ma'am.
just tell Member Anderson, that's really good work. And I don't know who was testifying that there was adequate numbers, but I would take them to any small rural district and welcome them. There's a lot of districts that, besides the large districts, but I'm telling you, the shortage is real in my part of the country. And I appreciate the work that you do and have been doing. The other thing I would just add is that I think that what the universities, as well as the community colleges, on the pathways toward education, we have a real task to stay current and to have our pathways reflect current needs, current training. We have like KSDEs doing some great work with CTE. We have the college, universities, technical colleges working hard with them. We need to, anyway, in my opinion, reflect those. Of course, 40 some years in education, I have an opinion. So I just wanted to say, good job. It's needed. And let's keep it moving forward. So.
Amen. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on to a report from our community colleges. President Seth Carter of Colby, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Frederick. Yeah, I just want to go through and continue to highlight. This will be the last of our series for Pillar 1. So we'll go through and we'll highlight each of these respective institutions, starting with Independence Community College. Independence Community College has implemented a new initiative to go through and provide free textbooks to students, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars annually for these students. They've also implemented an in-district scholarship for students in Montgomery County. And they've also worked with their foundation to commit over $1 million in scholarships every year to make affordable higher education and help the access to those families. They also, on the access portion, offer students a variety of modalities to take courses. They've also worked with their area high school to expand their welding program and have that offered at night. And then they've also worked on the co-requisite math for their being implemented in the fall of 24. So they are ahead of that curve and getting that performance agreement done with the Board of Regents. As far as success, they go through and they've highlighted a variety of their economic impacts and what they're doing as far as the education they're providing and how it's assisting the state of Kansas. They do this through a variety of different things. There's some health things here, the CNA, the CMA, first aid training. They also hold multiple career fairs throughout the year, trying to help get in business industry tied to their campus. They also participate in the Rural Opportunity Outreach Division, which connects rural schools in the Southeast area. So some really great things there. And then moving on to Johnson County Community College, they've also, as far as affordability, have implemented scholarships for early college students to go through and help offset the cost of that education. They have set aside $250,000 annually in aid to help those students that are lacking the necessary financial resources to have access to education. Also, as far as access, if you go through and look at it, they've provided some statistics within their within their plumbing program that goes through and has expanded that to 138 seats. Chair Frederick's probably excited to see that, just with that special emphasis going through and getting that completed. But starting in the academic year 24-25, they have 265 students seeking to serve the community as far as the electrical technology program, some really great initiatives. And then they've done some really great work focusing on adult ed, seeing how that's going to affect and implement that and how it's going to assist those students. You can just see those numbers and how they charted that out. They provided that information within the packet, some really good information. Moving on to Kansas City, Kansas Community College, taking pride in the work that they have done. They're really working on keeping tuition affordable. KCK is kind of in a unique spot because of their geographic location, because of their proximity to Kansas City, Missouri. They do have some competition directly with Metropolitan Community College, but they provided some statistics and analysis on how much funding they're able to save those students by serving them as well. In addition, KCK is relieving the burden of Wyandotte County taxpayers this year. The College Board of Trustees approved a revenue-neutral tax rate, urging by the residents for the second consecutive year. KCK has also cut operational costs by approximately $7 million in total, while maintaining the high quality of education they provide to their large number of students. Going through and then looking at some of the financial assistance they provide. Within there, you can see how they work with the Title IV program to provide federal financial assistance. You can also see they have a unique one right there with the Orange EV funds. A local producer of electrical yard trucks granted $75,000 to KCK to fund tuition and fees for machine assembler apprentices through their college. Really, really a neat deal, and again shows that ties to business and industry. As far as the access component, KCK is also partnered with their local area high schools. College now partners with 24 area high schools across 18 different school districts. That's expanding the number of student high schools partnership generated. So you can see that growth there. But the enrollment was 5,060 students in fall of 2023. And it was up 5,060 students compared to the 4,865 students that were served last year. Total credit hours produced by the college increased from 43,700 in the fall of 23 to 45,000. So again, just continuing to serve those students and working with that. Then they also have created a partnership on the First Gen program moving forward. So you can see that information within there. The First Gen Forward initiative features a structured approach to supporting first generation college students, which they do have the opportunity to serve a lot of those individuals within their respective area. They are also working on the downtown site for their new construction, the KCK Community Health Education Health and Wellness Center. It's a $75 million project that is done in partnership with a variety of different partners throughout that area. So really a great initiative, and nothing really else like that in the state of Kansas. Moving on to the student success portion of it, KCK's nursing program has increased their RN exam certification rates, first-time pass rates, from 86% to 96% in 2024. Again, showing how efficient that is and how they're continuing to move that forward. And then they've also launched the Successful Career in Healthcare program. For Maria Urban, was already working in the healthcare field when she made the decision to return to school. She needed a program that would allow her to continue her work while still advancing her education. Then she found KCK's paramedic program. As a 2023 graduate, she now serves as a paramedic in Miami County and EMS. So a little bit of anecdotal information going through and highlighting what those students are accomplishing. Moving on to Labette Community College. Labette Community College students pay a dramatically reduced tuition rate when compared to other universities and most community colleges at $124 a credit hour. The increase in tuition fees for the last 5 years has been a total of 13.1%, which is far less than the CPI average of 21.4% during that time. They also provide students a food pantry. They have worked with providing several dinners to students at no cost, and they provide hard copy prints at no extra cost, trying to reduce the book expenses associated with it. And the access component of it, tuition and fees for Lebec County residents are waived if the student maintains a 2.5 GPA. Again, really trying to focus on improving access for those students. They provide students tutoring at no extra additional cost. They also provide emergency funds for students who have emergency funding needs, and they also provide graduation fees for their students as well. As far as the success component of it, 100% of LCC's health science graduates pass their national boards. This includes nursing, physical radiography, respiratory therapy, and diagnostic medical sonography. 98% of LCC's health graduates who have passed their national boards were placed in their respective and intended fields. So going through and looking at those high demand, high wage majors, those students are not only graduating, earning their credential, they're actually being placed in the field upon immediate graduation as well. And then the median wage for the health science graduates who are employed increased by 32% from the previous K-TIP year. LCC students demonstrate an understanding of core values, the student learning at 82%. LCC students demonstrate an understanding of core value education at a globally connected world rate at 81%. Moving on to the Neosho County Community College. For years, Neosho County Community College has partnered with their two largest service area high schools and provided a wonderful arrangement of lower concurrent enrollment cost. The district pays a flat fee rate to NCC in exchange in NCC scholarships of 100% of those students' tuition and fees. The districts may choose to then charge the students a small fee for their classes directly, but often waive that charge for those students that are on free or reduced lunches. NCC's newest technical program, Automotive Technology, was recently awarded a Perkins Reserve Grant. So thank you all for your assistance on that. I'm sure Dr. Inbody's excited. Colby didn't get any money off it, so I'm not as excited, but I can appreciate that. As far as the access component, Neosho offers many different configurations of classes, again, focusing on those different modalities to serve students. You will see that done in a face-to-face hybrid modality online. They also offer a new modality called polysynchronous, which is a part of the paralegal program. Students can choose to attend face-to-face, Zoom, recorded sessions. There's a variety of different modalities there that are ultimately geared towards serving students. And then lastly, Neosho County Community College offers a fantastic opportunity for those that are youth, 7 to 15 years old, to explore technical programs at their summer CTE camp. This past summer, over 55 students enjoyed this. They had the opportunity to participate in this and get exposed to what these programs can really offer for them. From the success component, the NCLEX pass rates have risen since 2021, and there's a significant increase in nursing program completion. In 2023, it was 86.7%. CNA state pass rates have remained above the 90% threshold for at least the last 5 years. Search Technology and Healthcare Coding have both had a 100% pass rate on their licensure exam. The Health Information Technology program has resulted in 100% of the graduates being employed within the field since July of 2023. Neosho County Community College was the third community college AY23 on the percent it graduated for the K-TIP report. And then lastly, among those students in Excel and TE, 57.7% of the students completed their program compared to the state average of 33.4%. So those students that are starting are completing as well. From the Pratt Community College side, on the affordability scale, the number of Pratt Community College students qualifying and using the Promise Act scholarships has grown from 30 students in 2022 to 74. The scholarship requirements call for those students that complete the program to complete at least a minimum of 2 years in the state of Kansas after completion of the program. Pratt Community College also provides greatly discounted college courses to residents of Pratt County Community College at $39 a credit hour and $49 a credit hours in their local service area. Pratt Community College is a leader in providing finance and aid to students. According to WalletHub.com, PCC provides an average of $6,750 annually in scholarships and federal state aid to each of those students, helping reduce the cost of education. As far as the access component, Pratt Community College continues to offer the welding and automotive program in Kingman and in Attica, which partners from Chaparral and Madison Lodge. The number of students accessing these programs have grown and remained steady over the past 3 years. Pratt Community College also acquired Educan, and now they are providers of online courses for Pratt Community College. They have seen an 80% increase in credit hour production through these modalities, and as more students are choosing to access online education as part of their preferred offerings. As far as success, Pratt Community College has always had a strong history of student success. PCC ranks at the top or near the top in the 2-year sector, according to the Student Success Index. They are also at the top or near the top as far as earned graduate wages. The most recent KBOR report shows that 2022 PCC associate degree completing graduates had an average starting salary of $42,156 in their first year of employment. That is the second highest average amongst the two-year colleges and $25 less than the average of that of the baccalaureate degree of graduates for the same year. Pratt Community College was named the #3 two-year college in the nation by WalletHub.com. This is derived from over 18 total metrics, including 3 key dimensions that include cost and financial, educational outcomes, career outcomes. PCC has been honored by WalletHub.com 9 of the last 10 years. I would say WalletHub was not reputable, but Colby was also recognized, so I think I'll have to lend some level of credence to them as well. And then finally, Seward County Community College launched the Saints Ahead Scholarship Program for high school students in our service area. This has made higher education affordable in there for a number of underserved, underprivileged students. This has resulted in a large enrollment growth within this population. Additionally, the institution is seeing a massive increase with completers among high school students. In the spring of 2024, the institution had 37 high school students walk concurrently at their graduation. So those students earned their associate's degree while graduating from high school as well. Really cool. On the access component, Seward County Community College has seen a massive increase in foundation with over $1 million of new funds this year alone, aimed at increasing scholarships for students. These funds will allow the institution to strategically scholarship more students. Seward County Community College has experienced about a 30% increase in enrollment over the last 3 years. And then finally, on the success side of it, Seward County Community College consistently produces high graduation rates, retention rates, and student success. Over the last few years, the institution has implemented new programs geared around towards student success. And as a Hispanic serving institution, we all know how critical and important this support is. We stand for any questions or concerns as presented.
Okay, thank you, Seth. Any questions, comments? I would just say congratulations to all those institutions. Very positive and good information. Hard at work, sounds like. So congratulations. All right, we're going to move on. Wait a minute.
If I may, and this is Tiffany Anderson, the comment you mentioned about the one program in which they're graduating with their associate's degree at the same time, which is truly impressive in the high school diploma. We do something on a much, much smaller level. I'd love to connect with that person, if only just to highlight what's occurring in colleges around beyond us, because that's a replicated thing that should be occurring in more places. Can you share just a little bit more about that? Is that new this year? Maybe I just wasn't aware of that, or can you talk a little bit more about that, if that's okay, Chair Frederick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Member Anderson, yes, ma'am. So that's President Bennett from Seward County Community College. They had moved forward with the Saints Ahead program. Within the liberal area, they serve a highly Hispanic population, so they've seen tremendous amounts of enrollment growth going through and providing those scholarships. I can get you President Bennett's contact information because he can talk specifically about how they've implemented that. But I believe he started working on that initiative about 1.5 years ago. And I think they're really
I would love that. And
Yes,
just to
ma'am.
even highlight him and what he's doing further, because that closes when we talk about economic prosperity. You're giving kids a running start. They're leaving high school with their associate's degree. That's fantastic. And again, we may have 1 or 2 students in that way through Washburn, but it sounds like he has a large program. So we love to highlight him and what he's doing through our communications department, but I'd love to learn more. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I will connect you guys offline. I'll email you.
And often you hear not only are they leaving with their associate degree, they're leaving with no debt too, quite often, which is significant, So good question and good follow-up on that, Seth. So thank you. Okay, we're going to call on President Jim Jeanette, Manhattan Area Technical College, to give us a report on our technical college group. Jim, are you with us?
Oh, I hope so.
I do too.
Still breathing anyway.
Good.
Good to see all of you via Zoom, or as I used to call it, Hollywood Squares back in my day. So here's some updates from our folks. Flint Hills Tech and helping families with access for the 2nd year. They've received the United for Racial Equity grant from the United Way of the Flint Hills to deliver the Esto Juntos recruitment event in Spanish for Spanish-speaking families in the Emporia region. The funds allow the college to provide translation services for English speakers and a meal for the event. And this event is scheduled now for February of 2025. In helping Kansas businesses in the talent pipeline, they hosted a career fair for healthcare partners, including dental assisting, dental hygiene, nursing, CNA, and EMS programs. The Kansas Council on Workforce Education recognized automotive technology faculty member Brett Pope for excellence in teaching, and their adult ed director, Vicki Schweinler, for leadership inside the field at the Kansas Workforce Innovation Conference in Salina. On advancing economic prosperity, they continue to grow their CDL program with regional employers. And the dental hygiene program has been expanding to offer some additional techniques, if you will, which I'm not going to try to pronounce a couple of these words because I'm not a scientist, but they're increasingly doing more related to helping their students work with the patients in their clinic, but also to be ready to go into the workforce with more technique on saving people and their dental issues. Flint Hills was one of several tech colleges that got a grant recently from the Patterson Family Foundation. Flint Hills is getting $672,000 in change to support a new precision ag program and the CDL program in their region. The funds will be allowed to will allow Flint Hills Tech to purchase a simulation power unit to help high school students get ready for CDL courses and also as a community engagement resource. North Central Tech, they've been helping families by working on a new facility, 29,000 square foot facility in Hayes. They had groundbreaking November 5th. That facility will house construction technology, plumbing, heating, and HVAC, electrical technology, and CDL programs, doubling capacity for all of those programs at their Hayes campus. In past years, they've had to turn students away because they didn't have the capacity, so this will certainly help their enrollment and help the workforce. On the talent pipeline, they have received their initial accreditation from ASIN for nursing for their ADN nursing program at the Beloit campus. They've been offering ADN nursing at the Hayes campus for many years, but this is a new expansion of ADN at the Beloit campus. Northwest Tech, they received a grant from the Gene Haas Foundation to provide direct scholarship report to their mechanical engineering students. They're also recognized by the U.S. Department of Education Post-Secondary Success Recognition Program as one of the top 100 two-year colleges in the nation for work supporting and graduating students from underserved populations and preparing them for careers with upward mobility. In addition to Northwest Tech, Manhattan Tech was recognized in the top 100. Salina Tech, on affordability, they've increased the amount of grants they are providing to support housing costs for students to attend their college. On the pipeline, they've been working in even closer collaboration with SWANS to provide local workforce training opportunities instead of sending the training out of state. This will also bring in the potential of training from other states into the Salina Tech world. So we might steal some workers from other states due to the training capacity at Salina Tech. Cool thing on, economic prosperity, we look for the tangible on money things, and this is money, but in a different way. Salina Tech received a thank you note from a community member who was grateful that automotive students from the college stopped and helped her when her car broke down and she was stranded on the roadside. She said she appreciated they provided a service-oriented demeanor and they took care of all of her needs and questions. And what she wrote, she mentioned they had the soft skill talent to answer all of her questions, take care of her, were professional and polite. So that's kind of a cool intangible, if you will, of the training our students get across the two-year sector and workforce and taking care of people. So that's cool. Washburn Tech, Scott's a little busy on affordability. They did receive a set of classroom tools and individual tool donations from the BDC company for their electrical technology program. They've held multiple student recruitment events, including Scout Day, which is a unique opportunity for recruiting with area scouting groups, and also having culinary students from Topeka Public Schools on campus. They have had multiple meetings with business and industry in their area to work on partnerships with the Builders Association, general contractors, and Lawrence Memorial Hospital. They've also students participating in the Go Topeka Business Pitch Contest, and they finished in second place. Wichita Tech received HSI designation from the Department of Education, which is Hispanic Serving Institution. That's a great recognition of the work they're doing in that area. It also opens up the possibility for additional grants for the college. Mike Rowe was on campus to interview students, spent some time at Wichita Tech with his Micro Works credential and for other documentary filming he is doing for his business. And a new company, Block Digital, is coming to Wichita from the United Kingdom, and they're working with Wichita Tech for their new workforce. The October issue of Kansas City's Ingram's Business Magazine featured an article called Technical Writing, and it's about workforce education in Missouri and the Kansas City area and Kansas. And for their article, they interviewed Sherry Utesh, Steve Kearney, and myself. So we got a little mention in that publication. And then finally from Manhattan Tech, we're piloting our welding courses at Fort Riley right now, and we'll have 2 to 3 sections of welding available in the spring. The talent pipeline, we've begun customized workforce education on site or in a hybrid format with Manco Corporation, which does windows, a variety of glass products, et cetera, here in Manhattan, and it's a global enterprise. Florence Manufacturing, Schultz Construction, and BHS Construction. Our new 14-station mobile VR lab is here, and we also received a Patterson grant, so we'll be using that to help outfit that lab and take it into surrounding counties for both recruiting as an instructional lab. Salina Tech also received the Patterson Foundation grant. We'll give you more details on that in future months. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions, comments? Again, congratulations to all that good work being done. So thank you. All right, we're going to move on in our agenda, and we have 10 items from the Technical Program and Curriculum Committee on our consent agenda. Did Mike join us by any chance?
He did not.
Okay. Sharman, did you want to make any comment before we make a motion?
No, I don't believe specifically. I would just include that some of the questions that the Program and Curriculum Committee had asked during their meeting, both WSU Tech and Barton Community College forwarded additional information to the committee this last week, but we would stand for any questions.
Okay, is there a motion to accept approve the consent agenda?
This is Cindy. So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Curtis will second.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. Any questions, comments? If not, Robin, you want to call the roll, please?
Yes. Dr. Tiffany Anderson,
Yes.
Member Hoover,
Yes.
Member Rice,
Yes.
Chair Frederick,
Yes.
Member Humphrey,
Yes.
Member Sneeden,
Yes.
Member McCulka,
Yes.
Member Zimmer,
Yes.
Member Clark,
Yes.
and I assume, sorry, Angela can vote for Secretary Schultz.
I'm a yes if I can.
You can.
Okay.
That is it.
All right, sounds like it was unanimous, so it's been approved. So, all right, thank you. And moving on to our discussion agenda and other matters, we're going to hear from actually Sharman going on the State Safety Fund. So Sharman, you're up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Frederick. Good morning, everyone. So provided in your packet there is a summary of the State Safety Fund programs for which KBOR actually has responsibility for making distributions. These are the Commercial Driver Training, CDL, and the motorcycle safety programs at the community and technical colleges. So starting with the CDL Safety Fund, just a little bit of background. In 2013, the Process Management Committee which was a subcommittee of the TEA, determined that the CDL safety funds would be applicable to full programs, full CDL programs reported in KEDS, and not just for test preparation coursework. So each year I contact the institutions that are running an approved commercial driver training program, submitting data in KEDS to request information about the students that completed the program in the previous year, and specifically also requesting the date that the CDL was issued for those program completers. So it's not just completing the program, it's obtaining the license itself. And then we distribute all of the revenue received annually based on the student headcount at each institution. So you can see there as an example, Seward County Community College reported 59 students. That is 13.85% of the 426 total students meeting that criteria. So they received 13.85% of the available fee funds of $60,395, which was $8,365. Again, and we do this annually. And then on the motorcycle safety fund, this is handled slightly differently, even though KBOR still distributes those funds and cuts those checks, if you will. So each year, KBOR has provided a report from KSDE. That includes a total head count and a total dollar amount per institution, for which we then make those distributions. This fund is specifically for motorcycle safety courses, which are reviewed by KSDE. $89,200 was available this year. Incidentally, that was the same amount available last year. And those distributions are based on the headcount reported from each institution that you can see outlined in your chart as well. This is an informational item. It's not necessary for the TEA to take any action, but I would stand for any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions, comments related to this report? All right, thank you, Sharman.
Thank you.
And we'll move on. Natalie, you're going to give us an update or what's happening in the Kansas Department of Ed. So appreciate you taking time to do that.
Thank you. I apologize. I have my camera off because I am also in Salina Airport hangar attending the Registered Apprenticeship Celebration. We have 3 teacher educator apprentices that are in attendance. So that's a reason to say. Let me share some updates. Going through some of our vision items, Kansas leads the world in the success of each student. The state board outcomes, post-secondary success, graduation, academic success, kindergarten readiness, Kansans Can competencies, civic engagement, and individual plan of study. The KESA 2.0, or the Kansas Education System Accreditation 2.0, strategy, standards alignment, balance assessment system.
Did we lose her?
It looks like it. I don't see her connected. Well, no, she is connected.
I'm back. Are you looking for me?
Oh,
here she goes.
Okay, I'm going to go here. So this is our school improvement model. As you can see, it has the fundamentals for the focus items on the left, structures, and the measures of progress, both short-term, 1 year. This is the first year for the change in graduation requirements for the class of 2028. Bring your attention to the post-secondary assets. Quite a few of those have a direct connection to career and technical education. Math assessment scores. These show the change in assessment scores from 2022 to 2024. Assessment scores in Kansas. Small gains after COVID, but the impact of COVID has had and will continue to be significant. This shows the post-secondary progress and the 5-year graduation average, as well as post-secondary average. Our state assessments are going through revisement and enhancement. They'll be based on the same standards, but there'll be new items and passages. So new cut scores will need to be set because of the change in the blueprint of the assessments. Chronic absenteeism has been a focus, making sure students are at school. So there have been improvement in the chronic absenteeism rate. Going to career and technical education. The most recent final information we have is the year 2023. We had 55,302 CTE participants. Those are students who have earned 1 credit in a single career and technical education pathway, and 30,934 concentrators. This shows the academic proficiency of CTE concentrators, or those students scoring in level 3 and 4 on the state assessments. In the area of ELA or reading, they were 3 percentage points above the state average in the high school assessments. And in the area of math, they were also 3 percentage points above in the state assessments. I'm thinking about the 4-year graduation rate of CTE concentrators in Kansas, 98.53%. So that's about 10 percentage points above the graduation rate of the graduates as a whole. This is the area that we measure for determining high quality pathways, those concentrators, for those students who have earned 2 credits in a single pathway. 70.05% of those concentrators attained college credits during high school. The version model and handbook at the last TEA meeting, but this is the new model showing the different industries with employability skills in the middle. This is the model that we show elementary students, promote career awareness. And the middle school version has the career clusters. And the high school version has the career pathways. For next year, we'll have 15 clusters and 32 pathways in the 25-26 school year. I wanted to make reference to our advisory committee for career and technical education.
Did we lose her?
It does look like she is no longer in the
Oh, is that-
meeting.
Okay. And I understand we'll get this PowerPoint. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, you're welcome to share it out. I apologize for the connection. It's just don't have a very strong connection here at the airport hangar.
That's all right.
So the business and industry representatives on the second slide show those that chair our cluster review committees, in addition to a State Board of Ed member. In the most recent review, we had 207 volunteers, business and industry post-secondary, secondary, and CTSO advisors. I want to thank the Department of Labor who presented the labor market information. Kansas Chamber shared their competitive analysis. We had a report from Kansas Commerce on key industries and target sectors. We also invited the Board of Regents to come over to focus on
Well, we'll apologize for the hit and miss on this. Some things you just can't control, seems like.
So I don't know if you want me to conclude and send it out, but I appreciate you letting me share. I can try one more time, but I do apologize for the connection.
Member Clark,
I'll try to slip through.
I just went ahead and emailed it out to everyone. So at this point, it might actually just be easier if you want to
Perfect.
just speak to it. Yeah.
Okay, so sure, I wanted to share that we were fortunate to get to go to the Advanced CTE meeting and Vice President White spoke on that, but looking at the National Career Cluster Framework and looking at the change, our national model currently has 16 clusters and they're recommending 14. Of course, they have included the NAICS codes in addition to the ZIP and SOC codes. So that's something that we'll be looking at. We had mention of the Seward County. Vera and I had the opportunity to present at the Advanced CTE meeting on teacher and educator recruitment. And we shared out about our mentoring program at Pitt State. We also shared about our learning program at our center. And then we actually, a reserve grant that we put out through KSDE this year was on electronics, electronic equipment, and programmable logic controllers. We've had a lot of feedback from business and industry and post-secondary institution, and we'd like to provide that opportunity for high school teachers to have some of that equipment in their classroom and have professional development to share that with students. I'll go ahead and conclude if there's any questions, but again, please share the PowerPoint.
Any questions? Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for hanging in there with us, and we'll all look forward to.
Very sorry about that.
That's all right, getting the PowerPoint. So, all right, we're going to move on our agenda, and we're going to hear an update on adult education from Associate Director Susanna Lee. So, you're next.
Thank you, Chair Frederick, and good morning to the members of the authority. My name is Susanna Lee, Associate Director for Adult Education. I am very pleased to be with you today to share an adult education update. And hopefully my connection is working and hopefully everyone can see the slides here. So as you know, Kansas Adult Education supports adults in building skills for college and career readiness. This includes preparing for a high school equivalency diploma, increasing English language skills, workforce preparation, IET and AOK, and many other services to help learners achieve academic and career goals and to thrive in their communities. In the 2023 to 2024 program year, Kansas Adult Education served 6,869 participants. This is an 11.4% increase from the previous year. As of fiscal year 2024, Kansas has returned to pre-pandemic enrollment levels and continues to grow. As of November 15th, the current year's enrollment is 20.5% higher than enrollment last November. Adult education serves adults from extremely diverse backgrounds, including learners with over 70 unique native languages. 14% of participants in FY 2024 came to us with less than an 8th grade education, while 9% earned post-secondary degrees outside the United States. You can see our students have a broad range of needs, and our programs must be flexible enough to meet learners where they are and to help them move forward. Over 1/3 of participants report at least one barrier to employment. Adult education helps adults enter the workforce and increase job skills. Kansas is consistently in or near the top quartile for most federal performance indicators. We don't have data for all states yet for FY 2024, but you can see state outcomes compared to the national aggregate from the year before. I'll pause just for a second so you can review those. Enrollment has been growing and outcomes remain high, but we know there is still more we can do. An estimated 190,000 adults in Kansas do not have a high school diploma, and approximately 110,000 adults speak English less than very well. The Program for the International Assessment of Adult Competencies, or PIAC, assesses cognitive and workplace skills in literacy and numeracy. You can see that Kansas is well above the national average in adults who are at or above level 3, which is considered proficient, and this is a credit to the state's excellent educational systems. However, there are still 17% at or below level 1 in literacy, and 25% at or below level 1 in numeracy. I'd also like to point out the approximately 30% of adults in level 2 for literacy and numeracy. Level 2 can understand and perform some tasks with text or calculations, but might still struggle with the more complex or higher level skills necessary to succeed in post-secondary education and in many high-wage careers. I would encourage you to view the full explanations of each level at the website listed for PIAC. Both level 1 and level 2 adults could benefit from adult education services. That is a very significant population. Adult education continues to innovate to find ways to serve Kansans. One opportunity I'd like to share is called alternative placement, which is being piloted this year after the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, or OCTAE, gave this option to states. Alternative placement removes the need to administer a federally approved pre-test and post-test, that is TABE in Kansas, for students with goals measured by other outcomes. Currently, 40% of programs are piloting a variety of alternative placement usages. One common usage is a fast-track GED for students who have already passed some of the GED subject tests or who demonstrate readiness to pass. Another common usage is for students in workplace literacy classes, when programs work with employers to define specific job skills that employees need. We are excited to see how this opportunity might streamline the educational experience for students and for our employer partners. As mentioned, approximately 600 participants entered adult education with post-secondary education from outside the United States. Kansas is developing methods to help these internationally trained professionals, or ITPs, to re-enter their careers in the U.S. We have engineers, veterinarians, teachers, healthcare professionals who could contribute their skills and knowledge to our state's workforce. Similarly, we continue to expand integrated education and training, or IET, opportunities, offering academic and career training concurrently and contextually. Adult education supports participants in entering and advancing in the workforce and engaging with their communities, but we don't do it alone. We partner with employers, educational institutions, and community organizations of all kinds to serve and support adult learners. Members of the authority, as you visit with agencies in your communities and across the state, we invite you to ask if they are aware of their nearest adult education program, and if so, how can they partner to benefit Kansans? Thank you for your time and attention. I am happy to stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Ray, this is Deb.
Yes, Deb.
I was really interested in the whole PowerPoint. I hope we get a copy, maybe. You talked, or one of the charts said that the employment after completion, it was like 50-some%, and the national average was 30-some%. I mean, that's a pretty significant difference. Do you have thoughts on why that difference, why there is such a difference?
Thank you, Member McCulloch. I appreciate that question. I can speak to the reporting aspect of it. Part of the difference is in the way that Kansas collects and reports the data. There are two methods of collecting this because this is for participants after they exit the program. They're no longer with the program, so this is after exit. So one of the methods is with a data match, working with Swiss and Department of Labor to match Social Security numbers to identify individuals who are employed. The second method is with a follow-up survey. That is a manual survey that local programs conduct by calling or emailing or texting or otherwise reaching out to exited participants. Some states do only one method or the other. Federally, it is only required to do one. Kansas does both methods. And so part of the reason for this is because Kansas is able to collect more data because we use both of those methods.
Okay, thank you for that. One other question that was really interesting. I think you said 600 each year. There's 600 individuals with post-secondary training that are not citizens. Did I get that right?
I could not speak to their citizenship status, but the education is from outside the United States.
Okay, so education from outside the United States. So that's a really strong potential workforce.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool what you're doing. I thought that was kind of actually a surprising number and very interesting.
Thank you. Yes, we're very excited. Associate Director Julie Clark is working on several initiatives, so I am sure that in future months she will have an update for the authority on some of the things she's working on.
One last thing and I'll stop. So when you mentioned the participants, I mean, it sounds like we're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. That I know we have work in the corrections area with programs in the on-site for corrections. Do we track, or is there a tracking mechanism of persons who may have been, and there may not be, they may not have to identify, that have been incarcerated that then come back through the adult ed education program by any chance?
So one of the barriers to employment that is federally required that we collect is called ex-offenders. It's kind of an outdated term, but so we do collect information of those who have been formerly incarcerated or justice involved and who are now are in the community and are returning to the adult education program. I could not speak to how many were with that same program with classes on site and then were released and returned. I could not speak to that precise number.
Right. I just think our workforce in Kansas, we just have, I think the persons that are have been incarcerated and are out are a potential workforce pool. And I think that with the adult ed, I mean, we're making, those are some strong gains. And so if we're going to make workforce work for all of our new industries, we've got to hit everyone. And I just thought those are both two areas I thought, anyway, good work. And thank you for answering the questions.
Thank you, Member McCulloch. I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Thank you, Susanna, for your report. Good to have that information and update. So very, very important for our state and individuals' lives too. So thank you. Okay, now our next item is an update on military articulation. Associate Director Tobias Wood and Director Vera Brown tag teaming on this. So
good morning. Thank you, Chair Frederick. Today Workforce development staff would like to provide an update on the military credit articulation process. And we would also like to ask the TEA for your input on how we should proceed with the articulation process. We will have a couple of staff members here presenting, so appreciate your patience with us switching screens and such. As you know, Goal 9 of the TEA for this academic year is to enhance military articulation and support efforts. And we would like to know how we can assist the TEA to make progress toward achieving this particular goal. We believe that we have a solid foundation of military articulation, and we would like to build on that system and work toward more post-secondary credit hours being awarded for a military credit. Just a few words on the background of this program. Through a Midwest Higher Education Compact initiative, a multi-state collaborative on military credit was formed, which facilitated a 13-state partnership, and Kansas is one of those states. And the mission is to translate competencies acquired by veterans through military training and experiences toward college credentials. In 2020 and through 2023, as part of the Illumina Foundation subgrant of a little over $217,000, board staff formed the Kansas Collaborative on Military Credit Advisory Committee, who guided and supported strategies to maximize the opportunities for service members to earn post-secondary credit for military training. With the help of the Illumina Foundation grant, our Kansas colleges developed a military articulation portal containing a total of 287 occupations. I think that is pretty tremendous. In our portal, there are 853 articulations across all sectors. And this could not be possible without the contribution of time and effort and ideas of college leadership, the institutional research staff, veteran support staff, registrar, faculty, and everyone involved in the process on campuses. We are also grateful to our military partners in all branches of service, Army University, Kansas National Guard, participants in multiple articulation meetings, and the involvement of stakeholders, which was tremendous. And finally, board staff, we're really grateful for our colleagues who convened these groups, gathered data, got everyone on board, data research and planning and IT staff who built the articulation portal, which we will see in a few minutes, and also board staff who continue to update the portal, travel and promote the articulation efforts. Just recently, our academic affairs staff colleagues traveled to the Kansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. I used to be part of that group. We call it CACRO, and try not to pronounce all those words all at once. And the Kansas Academic Advising Network conferences. I wanted to mention that we're not alone in this effort, speaking of English as a second language. And Kansas is leading the articulation of military occupations to post-secondary programs across the nation. We get requests for sharing our process with other states. We meet with other state staff to go through our processes because a lot of states are working on similar projects. Associate Director Wood presented at national convenings in Florida, New York, and also presented to Nebraska and Minnesota so far, and we get more and more requests as time goes on because this is a question and an issue that relates to every state and all across the nation. And we would like to continue to lead this effort. And for that, we need to define our next steps. We need to use the foundation that was built through the articulation portal and increase our efforts in working with colleges awarding military originated credit across the state. I would like to call on Associate Director Wood to share his screen and show us the military articulation portal. I will put the link in the chat so that if you would like to access it at this time, you can do so because you can select your own occupations and institutions that way. But Associate Director Wood, please take it away.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Very good. So what you see on the screen is the military portal. Vera has just loaded the web link into the chat. So if you'd like to choose your own adventure aside from what I'm going to show you, you're perfectly welcome to do that. And I've got the bright pink cursor. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So first steps is in the upper right-hand corner, there's a section that says how to use this site. And when you click on that, it basically gives a step-by-step process of how this works, what the first steps are for a service member in order to take advantage of some of this military credit. You'll see that there's even a contact us page. That takes us to basically a generic KBOR email for that. But let's go back to the search site. When this was built, it was originally built as just a collection of PDF files that the institutions would put together to help a service member find out what credit they would have available. And basically, the service member would just search through all these PDF files. Through the assistance with the Lumina Foundation grant, we were able to utilize the team members at the Kansas Board of Regents and the DRP staff and the IT staff to basically build a search engine for these service members. So in the first drop-down column, you'll see the different service branches. The one that's not there is the Space Force, but it is basically embedded into the Air Force. In the second column, you'll see occupations or courses. For me, it's easier to look through occupations. And then on the far right is the service, select service level. In the Army, the more education a service member gets or a soldier gets, they're attributed a different code. So a service member, as soon as they graduate their advanced training after basic training, they go to their advanced training, and then they are certified level 10. Then if they go to sergeant training, that's level 20. If they go to try to be an E6 or a staff sergeant, they must attend 30, and it just keeps going up. As a sergeant first class, I have achieved level 40, which is a mixture of what I call common core content, the history of Afghanistan, presenting information to a team, and then also highly technical content. And so the different branches have different service levels. You can see if we went to, for instance, the Navy, their service levels are different. They go by E1 through E9. I'm going to go back to the Army, and I'm going to show you how a typical search might look. And I'll show you a great example of this is culinary. So I'm going to type in CUL for culinary. And what I get is the Army MOS, or the Military Occupations Specialty, 92 Golf for culinary specialist. And we're able to see which institutions have added credit for that specific MOS. We have 39 that have uploaded that. We're only seeing 25 here. And then what we see across the top of the columns is the institution. And these are hyperlinks that go directly to the institution's website that's specific to the institution. The next one is the number of courses that could be awarded through military credit. Then the third column is that service level that we talked about, the number of hours that are possible within that service level. And then on the far right, you see a website that basically takes you directly to a content-specific section of the institutional website. So for instance, with Kansas City, Kansas Community College, if we go to the website, we should see this goes right directly to military academic credit, so that if a service member has questions, this is meant to be a one-stop shop for them. There is also an email address that takes a service member, if they have questions, directly to someone who can answer those questions, and a phone number of someone who can answer those questions. In many cases, institutions have chosen to staff this part of their registrar or admissions levels with individuals who have military experience, so that maybe they have encountered the GI Bill, or they've encountered tuition assistance, and help a service member overcome some of those barriers. Does anybody have any questions?
Ray, it's Deb here. I'm talking a lot today. Tobias, every time you talk about this, Seth knows this. Every time you talk about this, I hark back to our TAC grants, and I think it was so cool to even have been a small part of where this started and where it's gone. And as clear back there, it was so overwhelming to a lay person to see all the MOSs, to learn about the MOSs, and then to have the institutions. Then how do you cross reference that? How do you develop this? KBOR and particularly the TEA staff, they have worked, and the data people at KBOR. This for people who don't know, this is the most amazing little articulation portal. I just get so tickled every time I see it, and I'm sure it makes a difference to the people who use it. It's totally cool. I love hearing about it. And I so appreciate and recognize all of the hard work that it took to make this happen. And Kansas is a leader in this. I am sure that you are getting lots of requests. And I just hope that we continue to make this such an important part of what we do, because I think it makes a real difference in many military service individuals' lives. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I might also add, thank you for the kind words, but I think this is one of the initiatives that the Kansas Board of Regents has put together that honestly involves every level of the shops that we have at the Kansas Board of Regents: academic affairs, IT, DRP, the communications staff, of course, workforce development. So, I mean, I think every facet of the Kansas Board of Regents staff has participated in making this what it is. So I appreciate that. We're still working to make it more usable and to spread the word. And I think Director Brown has some more comments about that.
Yes, we're actually we're so excited about the work that has been done, and so now we're looking forward to what else we can do to create more opportunities for our veterans and active duty military to translate their credit, their earned credit in the military towards the military originated credit for prior learning. And so the last section on your issue paper, it will talk a little bit about what kinds of credit for prior learning one could earn. And it can be anything from exams and tests to test skills, to college level examination programs, to international baccalaureate programs that are done in high school. Of course, military originated credit. Sometimes there's a portfolio review based on experience, post-secondary transfer credit, and scholastic assessment test. The post-secondary transfer credit is not to be confused with the system-wide transfer. That's a different report, and we are not going to be touching on that today. That is if, let's say, based on an institutional program, there was a credit that was skipped in the past, it can be awarded based on other experience. So it is not a system-wide transfer, is not part of this conversation. And I apologize, I am not as proficient as Charmin with talking about data, and I do not have any virtual candy today, so I will owe you for next time. So the last table in the issue paper shows totals of credit hours for military originated learning as they were reported for academic years 23 and 24. The bold numbers are credits earned by military connected students through all credit for prior learning. And out of that, we singled out military connected students who earned military originated credit. So in bold is all credit for prior learning for military students, and then the military originated credit is spelled out right underneath that bold line. There are a few points we need to consider before we look at the chart together. First is you will see that in the community college section that the military originated credit is presented in two ways, with Barton Community College and Barton excluded. This is because Barton Community College is, so to speak, in the league of their own when it comes to the military credit. Barton has been serving 2 military installations, Fort Riley since 1982 and Fort Leavenworth since 2012. They have additional articulations and systems in place, and they have awarded over 5,000 credits over 23 and 24. So we thought it would be useful to look at our system with Barton and then without. We have Barton representatives on the call if you have additional questions for them, and we really appreciate their work. So this is not to say that we are not valuing what they're doing for our military students. Another note I wanted to add is the Washburn Institute of Technology is not included in the technical college section, as they themselves as an entity do not award post-secondary credit, and instead Washburn University is the entity that is awarding credit for prior learning. So that's why you will see that there is a lot of credit hours under a municipal university, which is Washburn. Washburn Tech is not in the technical college section. And the last thing I will mention about this specific table, that year to year, there could be fluctuations as we see credits awarded, because when the student enters, they might provide their transcript and get all of their credits up front. So there is no assumption that the program would gradually award credit for prior learning. So sometimes you will see from year to year, there is fluctuation. If we look at state universities, we can tell that most of the credit for prior learning for students who are in the military comes from military originated credit. So does the Washburn University or our municipal university. For community colleges, we do see a fluctuation in technical colleges for our 2-year system between the all of the credits that a military student might earn through credit for prior learning and military originated credit. We've talked with similar programs in other states. A lot of the question here comes from, do students know that they need to request that credit? Do students know that they're supported? Are there any unknown barriers to awarding credit that we might not be aware of? Or maybe the credit is reported in another part of our system somewhere. So there are some questions on, are we seeing the credit, the military originated credit in that line? Or sometimes is it called something different and is reported elsewhere? So all of these questions, as we were preparing for this presentation, arose, and we will be looking towards deeper investigation of some of these data questions. In the next steps section of your materials, board staff outlined some ideas on how to consider further development of articulated credit opportunities for service members and veterans. And we would like to know where the TEA sees this effort going. Academic Affairs leads a Credit for Prior Learning task force that works on all aspects of credit for prior learning. So we are looking forward to connecting with the task force and seeing if they would take up military originated credit as one of their agenda items. Another suggestion that we thought of and we're seeking your feedback on is engagement of veteran support personnel on campuses to identify barriers and propose solutions, to engage registrar who may require training or best practices sharing, to engage administrators to create and update articulations and portal information. We know that it does take staff hours to go in and update the portal, and we want always to have the latest information so that the student is never sent to a link that doesn't work or a person who's no longer there. or not working there, Ray. So we definitely want to continue that work. Another suggestion that our board staff is proposing is to reinvest in the work of the Kansas Collaborative on Military Credit Advisory Committee. That committee includes members from all categories of stakeholders. And finally, we would like to look for opportunities to promote military articulation to the public as well as on college campuses. That way that we all are receiving information on how to approach this question, that our military service members know that they are eligible for this opportunity, who to contact, how to do this, and make it easy, because there are many steps to getting something like this accomplished for a student. And I believe we do not necessarily need a vote on anything today, but we would really like to have a conversation about this and to gather information, your thoughts on how we should proceed.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Hey, Ray, it's Keith. I'd like to have a comment if I could. Just to reiterate some of what Vera talked about and what Tobias talked about. In 1983, I got out of the Navy and had a job opportunity in Cincinnati with General Electric that required an associate degree to be able to work there. It was one of their minimum requirements, and I didn't have that. So I scrambled real quick, tried to figure out what to do, as I really wanted that job. And lo and behold, the Navy had what they called at the time a Navy Campus for Achievement that did this articulation, just exactly like what you're presenting here. It grabbed my service schools, my time in service, my pay grade, the college credit that I had accumulated going to night school. And at this time in my life, I was married and had 2 little kids at home. So I really wasn't in a position to go to full-time school, and really wasn't in much of a position to continue night school as I was doing at the time. So anyway, they grouped all of these credits together, a couple of CLEP exams, and lo and behold, I have a 2-year degree from a college in Connecticut that I'd never been to. So, and it got me that job, and it skyrocketed a career that could never have imagined or could not have accomplished without this program or programs like this. So it's really cool to see the evolution of these things down at the state level, at the local level, because when I was doing this, or when I had this offered to me, it was at the service level. The Navy operated this kind of a program, and they must have had schools around the country that were on contract with them that would take a service member and basically do what they did with me. One thing that I could maybe say is that I've been working in another area on veteran transition, but mostly in the mental health department. But there is a transition for every service member getting out of the military, out of active duty. And maybe if there's not, and I'm sure there is something about this in their packages that basically say, hey, these articulation programs exist in the state you're in, research it. I'm not sure that every state has similar situations, but something like that could present these service members who may not have college on their right there in front of them. Most of them just want to get a job because they have to pay the bills. So something like this may help them to propel a career that they may not have even put in their line of sight. So very important stuff. It's very cool what we've got going on here. And promoting it's the only thing. I never knew it was there when I was a participant in that. No one told me except for a career counselor who was just up on his stuff and suggested it. So yeah, changes your life if you get involved in these things. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith. Other comments?
Vera, this is Deb McCulka, or Ray, it's Deb McCulka, and Vera and Tobias. I wonder if it might be interesting for the colleges and technical schools to involve the ask for input from their advisory councils to get an idea from employers. One, if this, because I'm sure they need good workers, and we know that people coming out of the military are usually not always for anything, but are usually really good employees. And people want them as employees. And so to ask the employers, and a simple way to access them are on these councils, the advisory councils that all the schools have for the different programs. And two questions I can think of might be, how does either if they've had experience with the articulation program, then how does it make a difference to them? And if they haven't had them, what needs do they have? Or what needs do they have that we think could be reflected or somehow considered as we're looking at the credit for prior learning? So that was one of the things I thought of when you were asking.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Anyone else? Other comments? Vera, you mentioned a task force,
Yes.
and that is made up of who? What groups?
I actually have. Sorry. Tobias, do you have that pulled up? I had the actual members pulled up, but it closed to save connection.
The task force or the military?
Who's on the task force? There, I think I got it. Okay, we have we actually had Kansas Air National Guard representatives, Department of Commerce, Commission of Veterans Affairs Office, universities, colleges, two-year colleges, Kansas Independent College Foundation. We had the Office of Adjutant General, Fort Riley representatives. Did I mention Army University? Probably did. Governors, Military Council representatives. So it was a really a lot of decision makers and policymakers who would advise on how to best approach this process and what needs to be included and so on. And of course, we had KBOR staff included on the meetings.
Is that still active, that task force, or have they done their job and be done?
So we have not convened this group since 2023. That is why we were wondering if we should revitalize that effort and reinvest into the work of the advisory committee. I think our question is then, what would be our ask and what would be our charge for them? Where, we have close to 300 articulations now. Is there a need for more articulations? Is there a need to be working closer with the colleges to see how the process is working, whether they need some support? So we have a big task, and we've done this big part of it. I guess our question is, do we need to work in both directions, all directions, one specific direction? Because it is a goal of the TEA. We don't want to bite off more than we can accomplish before the academic year, but at the same time, maybe it will be continued in the next year. So what is it that you would like to see the staff to focus on in regards to this goal?
Any comments on that? Any thoughts? Keith, Deborah? For myself, I think I would continue to need a little more understanding. A couple notes I've made. Do we get feedback from people that have used this process portal or whatever it is? Have you received feedback from them saying, it would be nice to know whatever that might be that we're not seeing, or we find it clumsy to use. It looked like it was pretty efficient, quite frankly, but and if it just seems like you mentioned earlier, to continue in conversations, whether we put together or consider putting together our own task force made up of individuals that seem to have not only an understanding of this, but a passion for this, and some that are engaged in decision makers on a state level, keep it local in some ways, and then see if there's a need to expand beyond and to this large task force to continue. But I'm open to, other thoughts, ideas. I don't know if any other TA members, something comes to mind, or April, if you have any comments to add to this presentation.
I do. I would actually, since we have Barton on the line and they've been doing this a long time, I would maybe seek their feedback. What are their thoughts?
Oh, you can't see me. My mic's too tall. Thanks, April. This is Elaine Simmons. I'm the Vice President of Instruction at Barton Community College. I had the privilege of being at the institution for 40 years, so I was watching from the sidelines when we first got involved with Fort Riley. But I think the most important thing I would say to you, I think we could say about many projects and initiatives. You have to identify within your institution where this is going to take place. You need to make sure they're trained and capable of doing that. And you need to focus on awareness. We're fortunate from the standpoint that we've been doing this a very long time. And so when you talk about Fort Riley, for example, we got a lot of word of mouth going for us because we've been there for such a long time and we've been awarding credit for such a long time. If you don't have that in your arsenal, then you need to figure out how to create that promotional awareness so that both your active members as well as your retirees are aware that this opportunity does present itself. We formed an internal committee in 2019 just for this particular initiative. And we spend time together looking. Since that time, we've put together 33 articulations. We will be convening again in the new year to take a look if there's others that we want to work through that process. But it's just like everything else. You have to identify your champions, who has the passion for it, who can integrate it in their job tasks and get the word out and make sure that attention is given. Those would be my nuggets.
Thank you, Lynn.
Ray, this is Cindy. Just kind of listening to everyone talk about this. For me, in an effort to bite off, as much as we can do and not too much, it feels like awareness is kind of the area that maybe we should focus on. And maybe that's a matter of from a task force perspective, getting someone from each of the bases or and really talk about what we have. Because it sounds like we have a lot, right? I'm not sure we need to expand it right now, but focus on awareness and making sure that they are able to, or maybe they can do something else to create that awareness themselves. If we just have that conversation and there's a better understanding of what that availability looks like.
Thank you.
This is Deb, and I thought, Cindy, I think that's great. I was just thinking kind of along, I was looking at the recommendation there on next steps, and we have the product. We have a great product. So awareness then would be, okay, how do we, and we probably have some baseline information about how much it's being used and how it's being used. We have some of that, we probably have some pretty good data to kind of give us baseline information. But that idea of the veteran support personnel on the campuses that can identify barriers and propose solutions, I think that's a really strong idea because as well as you're going to have to go to the campuses. And then to me, based on what Barton was saying, you also then have to approach it from the military side so that they have the awareness. So I think we have to hit kind of both angles pretty, both of them, maybe not equally, but just as focus areas.
All right, I think that certainly we don't need to fix something that's not broken as far as I would say that what Toll presented, it seemed to be in place. And I think, Cindy's comments and Deborah as well, increasing awareness. I mean, that seems to be where the gap is. So how that comes about, we'll let the smart people at the staff think about it and maybe bring forward, a more defined recommendation or recommendations. But I think we certainly don't want this to end with this conversation. Is what basically I'm going to make sure that we understand. So it requires more conversation, more input, but we're on a good path, and with Barton's help, certainly, I think headed in the right direction. And let's build on what we have. And I think what we have is pretty outstanding, impressive. So just need to, refine and define some of this stuff and keep moving ahead. So I hope that helps, Vera, Tobe. And
Thank you.
appreciate their effort on this, and it's so important to all involved, and particularly our military as they come out to opportunities that are available to them that perhaps aren't being communicated or clearly communicated on different sides of the table. So thank you so much for this presentation. We appreciate it. And again, it doesn't stop here. So let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you.
All right. Reminder, our next meeting is Thursday, December 19th. It will also be a Zoom meeting. And please take note, you'll see there that this is going to be at 1:30 in the afternoon. So please take special note of that. And it will be a Zoom meeting. So, all right. Any other matter that needs to come to the table? If not, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you to all and that have participated and that made this, I think, a very productive meeting today. So thank you, and we are adjourned.